I'm backing up my truck, I'm gonna hook it up, loading up my boat with all my gear. I've been working hard all week, trying to make ends meet, spending time wishing I was fishing. Well, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing. Gather up your gear and come along. Well, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing.
This is Terry Wickstrom. Join Karen Cullum, Greg Claudio, and me as we take you to some of our favorite fishing spots from Colorado to Minnesota, the Arctic Circle to Central America and beyond, as we revisit episodes of Mountain States Fishing and Angling Adventures Television on the best of fishing with Terry Wickstrom.
Hey, we've got a really special show for you today. Colorado, through the efforts of our local Trout Unlimited, was able to bring the Team USA qualifying championships to Colorado. In fact, they're going to be at Colorado in future events too. And what Team USA is, it's our team that goes overseas, usually Europe, it could be Australia, but they compete in the World Fly Fishing Championships. This is a huge, prestigious event in the fly fishing industry. We're going to take you through a series of events held right here in Colorado that was done for the selection of Team USA. Now, first these competitors had to go to regional competitions around the country in order to qualify to come here. Then we had a VIP day out at Boxwood Gulch on the Platte River, and kind of an introduction to the sponsors, a little bit of fishing and some private waters, and catching some big fish and having some fun. A conservation day out in Boulder that was open to the public, that had fly fishing manufacturers, team members, had seminars going on. And then out on the water, in public water, right here in Colorado, the same water you fish, to watch these world-class fly fishermen compete to qualify to be one of the members to represent the United States in the World Fly Fishing Championships. So we're going to get you out there, show you qualifying for Team USA to participate in the World Fly Fishing Championship. Hey folks, we're out here at Lily Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park now. As you've seen already, we were at a VIP event. There's been a lot going on. We're with the USA Fly Fishing Championships.
That's
Bob
right.
Bush is here with me from Trout Unlimited in Colorado, one of the organizers of the event. I can't remember what your exact title on the steering committee
Well,
was,
I'm
but
co-chair.
co-chair, all right. And we're at Lily Lake. There's 5 venues going on today. We'll tell you more about that. They're spread across the state. And we're going to try to get to some of those, get some fish being caught, and tell you about the techniques that are going on. I think it's going to be interesting, Bob, to see these competitors from all over the United States and Britain and Canada competing and applying the tactics that are so restrictive and the ways they fish to these Colorado venues, and show people how they do on public waters right here in Colorado.
Right, that's right. And what's interesting is we're here first thing in the morning, or bright and early in the morning, and we've got a beautiful day here, a little bit of wind, but these competitors have never been allowed to fish this lake. This is their first opportunity. So, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see how this unfolds, and if anyone catches a fish.
It could be interesting, and if they do catch fish, folks, we'll explain the tactics and the techniques. You'll be able to come to any of these waters you see. They're open for you to fish. These aren't private waters. We're in public. We're going to have 3 river and 2 lake venues. We'll show you as much of that as we can, but the competition's about to start. Let's get the cameras on the competitors and see how it's going.
Perfect.
Well, Bob, we've moved down the lake a little bit just to get a different shot. The fellow from England, which was Graham, is just to our left over here. We're still close in case he hooks up with a fish. We've changed our view now, and we're looking out over the lake. We can see several other. The stations are set up counterclockwise, numbered along the lake, 1 through 13. They're 200 meters long with a buffer zone. Is that right?
That's correct.
And we're looking out, and the fellow right in front of us here is one of the U.S. team members that competed last year. Is that right?
That's correct, yeah. That's Ryan Barnes.
And
he's been a member of the team, I think, a couple of years.
and so he has some experience in European competition and world competition.
That's right.
And so he's familiar with the tactics. So the tactics aren't new to him like they are to some of the other anglers.
That's right. Plus, you know, he fishes a lot of lakes, so he's got an advantage in that respect. You know, some of these guys that you're going to find out of the 65 team members or competitors, you're going to find that about 75% of them fish mostly running water.
And that's, you know, true of a lot of fly fish. The camera's just barely left Graham when he hooked up with the.
Yeah, there you go.
Graham's laughing
How
that
you
he
like
had
that
to talk to the
cutthroat?
fish.
Isn't that a beauty?
What's happening is Graham has to bring his fish to the judge. He can't take the fish out of the net himself.
No.
Explain the process here, Bob.
Well, only the controller or the judge is allowed to take the fish out of the net and measure it. That's what he's trying to do right now. Get that fish out. He's gonna take the hook out first. He's got to make sure that it's fair hooked.
And that's from the gill plates forward.
That's correct, yeah.
And then once it's fair hooked, and the judge, from now it's the judge's responsibility to make sure that fish doesn't get lost. Because
that's right.
If that fish gets lost, he doesn't get the accurate length for it. It goes down as a minimum or an average or something
That's
like
right.
that.
That's right.
And now, how's the scoring work here now? The scoring works that they're going to measure that fish, and it
Right.
has to be at least 20 centimeters, which
That's
is about
correct.
8 inches, to count. And
Right.
then they get, I've got the scoring here, but now I can look at the point schedule. I'll get it
Right.
out here. Scoring, it says that 20 each competitor will score 100 points for a qualified fish, and that looks like that's going to be a qualified fish. That looks more than 8
definitely.
inches.
Oh, it's
yeah,
by
that's
far.
probably a 12 or better inch fish, and then he gets 20 points per centimeter of length for each fish. Now they want to do this quickly too because he has to get back in the water and fish.
That's
so
right.
So the judges are tasked with doing this quickly and not losing the fish. 34 centimeters. As the competition continues, each person in this venue, they're only competing with the people at this venue
That's
right
correct.
now.
Right.
They'll be assigned points from 1 to 13, 1 being the best.
That's right.
And anybody that doesn't catch a fish will be tied for 13th. And then those points will carry as they go to each venue. And then how many members from each team are here? 1 or 2 or?
One member from each team.
Team.
We have 13 teams.
So there's okay, so
For instance, we have 3 U.S. teams here. We have 15 total members from the U.S. team. They've divided themselves up into three
teams.
5-member teams.
Right, but all the team members from one team aren't necessarily at this venue
Right.
right
We
now.
wouldn't ever want to have that happen because if, for instance, we had a cloudburst and you had to stop fishing, you'd wipe out the entire team because of that. We want to make sure that one team member is always a different venue so that we don't have that happen.
And all the contestants will fish all 5 venues during the course of 3 days. They'll fish 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. And they'll carry, not that their score may come into play for ties, but they won't carry their score of those points we talked about from here to the next venue,
Right.
but they'll carry their ranking, how they fished in this venue 1 through 13 to that.
That's correct, and there's one additional thing, and that is the biggest fish, because that's always the tiebreaker. If you have 2 guys that have the same amount of points, but one guy has caught 4 fish and one of them happens to be, 40 centimeters, and the other guy, his biggest fish, added up the same, but his biggest fish was 30 centimeters, the guy with 40 centimeters automatically outranked him.
All right, well, that was a beautiful fish, and we just moved off of him to catch some of the other group, and he hooked a fish almost immediately.
Yeah, that was
Got him
great.
bringing it in the net. We saw it being measured. I'm sure we're going to see more fish at this venue. We're going to move on some other venues. So let's get back and see what some of the
Sure.
other contestants are.
Looks fairly small, but look how quickly he's bringing this one in. He
Yeah.
wants to get it in absolutely as fast as he can.
And
Yeah,
that's Dave Webb, and he
That's
already
right.
looks small. We'll find out if he thinks it's going to qualify or not. Now, Dave already has 3 fish.
It looks like it can qualify here.
And if this qualifies, that'll give Dave 4 fish. He could be pushing for 2nd place.
That's right.
Unofficially. Right now, we think Eddie has 6 fish already. That's unofficial, and Eddie's kind of running away with it. So most of the other anglers are fishing for 2nd and 3rd at this session.
That's right.
But Eddie could blank at the next session and fall right down,
Yeah.
and somebody else could pass him. So it's so important that
Absolutely.
they finish as high as they
And
can.
that's why you got to get that first fish.
We're looking at Dave Webb here, measuring what could be his 4th fish. Controller will measure it, handle it. We'll find out if it qualifies. Here he goes. It's out of the net. Hook is out. And the tension mounts.
How long is it?
21, so it's a
21,
qualifier.
Qualifier.
So
It's exciting.
Exciting, it says fish.
That's right.
Jack Dennis has joined us, and we wanted to grab this guy as it came off the water. And we're at the first venue that we're filming on the first day of the competition. Thanks for joining us, Jack.
Hey, it's great.
We got this guy with us now. Unofficially, we've been walking around the lake, so we might have missed something. I don't want to get his hopes up, but I think he caught more fish than anybody. Don't know the lengths.
Never know until they...
He's got to be right up there by the top. You caught 6 fish today, is that right, Eddie?
Right.
And what were you doing different maybe than the other people? What do you think?
Well, I wasn't probably doing the same thing they were. I caught a couple on dry flies when those calibrated spinners got on the water, and it was calm, and the fish started feeding, and caught the rest of them on just pulling nymphs right under the surface, 6-8 inches deep.
Just stripping them a little bit.
Just stripping them, slowly hand
What kind of a
twist,
nymph?
retrieve. Well, actually a calibrated nymph and a pheasant tail.
Okay. And you have an interesting story. I understand that you've been having not the best health, and you actually skipped a treatment to come here?
No, I didn't skip a treatment, but no, I want. It's just fishing. I want to live, but I took my last treatment of chemo on Friday night that I left, and
So a little over a week ago.
a little over a week ago, and had it not been for me taking Procrit, I couldn't have Procrit. Before I started the Procrit, I couldn't have walked to the river, the lake and back. But it's helped me a lot, and I'm not fishing at full strength right now, but I can fish hard for 3 hours just on adrenaline.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jack, what a story, huh?
That is.
I'll tell you what, folks, we're going to go back up. They're going to get together and tally the points for this beat, and then we're going to follow this same group down to a river setting in the Big Thompson, maybe with a whole different outcome.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. Well, Jack, you joined us at the end of the last session, and boy, that one fella, was it Eddie?
Eddie Pinkston.
Well, he's down the road a little bit here. He was
Yeah.
doing great, and he don't know officially, but he's certainly one of the top finishers in this same group, but at the last session.
Well, there's no question he hasn't, and he'll shine. He's from North Carolina, and this is his type of water. Small streams. He should do well.
What we've done, folks, is we followed the group that was up at Lily Lake. We're down in the Big Thompson River now. Now there are 5 venues going at the same time with a total of 65 anglers, 13 different teams. They're all spread out across Colorado. We're following one group today, fished with them up at the Lily Lake, up in the Rocky Mountain National Park, followed them down here. You saw them fishing Stillwater. Now we're going to follow the same group fishing the Big Thompson River behind us here, and they start over from 0 here.
Well, this is a new venue, and they're going to try to, of course, win the beat. Winning the beat really helps you, helps your team, and it helps you. You get an opportunity to get a placing point 1. So Eddie's going to try to win this beat, 2 placing points, and you're going to be in the hunt.
I would think that, yeah, people that were in the top 4 or 5 up at Lily, if they do well here, are going to really set themselves up for the next 2 days of competition.
Right.
On the other hand, somebody that blanked has to finish in the top 5 here. If they don't get in the top 5, they probably almost eliminated themselves.
Well, it depends on how good an angler they are. If they got and rebounded and won another couple beats, by winning ones, it'll wash out a 0. But zeros aren't good. We had one year where we had no zeros as a team. That was a monumental challenge. And then we went back to, that was in Slovakia. We went back to Sweden. We had plenty of blanks.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, stay tuned, because we're going to take a Big Thompson River, same people you watched at Lily Lake, competing for a spot on the U.S. team that's going to compete over in Portugal in the World Championships. So we'll follow these guys and just see if any of them can, how the positions change. Who are we watching here, Jack?
This is Ryan Barnes. He was a Team USA member, and he went to Sweden and fished in Sweden. And it was his first year on the team. He qualified his very first year. Again, another veteran of the Masters competition and the great outdoor games. So anyway, Ryan is a really good fisherman. He's been to all the qualifiers. Works for Cabela's in Utah. Very well liked, guides. Very good fisherman for his age.
Well, we've just got word he's got 3 fish already. We're just we're about halfway through the competition now. We're about halfway through this session. He's got 3. Now we know.
Notice how he's got his net there. He was holding on to the net. I think he thought he had a fish.
You know, we're covering the lake. We could keep track of what was going on. We're moving up, and folks, there's 65 competitors out today, so we couldn't put a camera crew with every one, so we're just trying to give you a flavor of this. Well, in this session in the river, as we move up and down, all we know is immediately what we found from that angler. It changes so quickly.
Right.
When we left the other end, there were a couple guys with 5 or 6 fish in that range, or 4 or 5. He's got 3 here, easily right in it with 3 fish.
Yeah, but it's usually the pace doesn't pick up much more than that. I'd be surprised if he ends up with more than 6 fish.
Hey, I want to show you a technique that I learned from one of the contestants trying to qualify for Team USA. Something they do that I thought might really come in handy for you as a fly fisherman, the way they rig. You know, they're confined by some certain rules and they're competing in international competition. And one of those rules is no weight on the line other than the flies and no indicators. So they're always tight line nymphing, as you saw a lot of the presentations. I shouldn't say always, but it's very common. And how they accomplish that to get the nymphs down is they tie an extremely heavy fly in the bottom. And they're going to put a couple more flies up above that. This is going to be the weight that holds it down. Now some of them might rig different. They might have the weight up here. But they were showing me a technique they use that really impressed me as far as changing flies out on the river. So what we're going to do, we've got our heavy fly tied on here. Then we've got 2 smaller flies. I've got them hanging on my shirt here, rigged up. So when I want to put a fly on, all I have to do, I have these pre-tied with the loop on the dropper. Little fly on a piece of tippet with a loop in it. So now all I have to do is I go just above that knot where I want that fly to be, and I take that loop and I just pass the fly through the loop here on the little tippet I've tied on it, tighten it down and tighten that up. And now I can slide that up against the knot, and I have a dropper that's going to be below my heaviest fly, which is going to be down below. And now I can have 2 or 3. I've got another one hanging here. I could take this other one, loop it on right up here, and have 2 or 3 flies with droppers. Now that's one way to rig it, but the real advantage of this is how many times you've been out on the river, you break off a fly on light tippet and you want to add another fly, or you just want to change flies. Now the reason they do this technique is because of that loop. I can open that loop up and take that fly right off, or if the knot sticks, cut it, get it off in a hurry, take another looped one on and put it up above just like I would with this. Now I'm using a heavy, heavy bottom fly to keep those down. I'm keeping a tight line nymphing. My other 2 dropper flies are going to be in the current, and I'm going to actually almost pull this along. If the current doesn't drag, and I'm almost going to move it myself. That's what they call these European style nymphing. Now if I'm not getting the reaction I want, I need to change flies. I don't have to retie my whole leader. All I have to do is take one of these loops and open it up. I can take the fly off, loop another one on and add it to it. I'm off and going again. Let's get you back out to the competition to qualify for Team USA. But that's a tip that you can add to your fly fishing. Use it in the rivers. We're fishing right here in Colorado in the competition. Tie up some flies ahead of time, put them on some droppers. All it is, short line of dropper with the appropriate tippet tied to the fly with a little perfection loop on the end that I can pull the fly through. Nothing to it. Great combination, easy switching of flies, easy to do. Let's get back out to the competition. We were just getting ready to leave. We were going to move down to another competitor. Graham hooked into a fish. Looks like easily a keeper fish, easily a measurable fish. We'll get the length on it here. You know, one of the things we're facing right here, we can only see one competitor at a time, unlike the lake, so we don't know how anybody's doing compared to anybody else. Oh, critical. The measuring guys are responsible for getting the length of that fish, and it can be very critical. We'll get a length here. How long? 31? Yep. 31 centimeters, so that'll be a high-scoring fish from a very nice fish, Looks like a rainbow. Now the controller who does his measuring will get that fish back, make sure it gets released alive, and he'll get back and just start pounding the water again and going for it. And look at it, see how quickly he gets back out there.
Did he get, I went to get some water, did he get one?
31 centimeter.
Don't say that 31 inch. You're going to get these people all excited.
Yeah, 31 centimeter. We're just getting ready to leave. We actually didn't see it till I brought it to shore. We were moving the gear. But yep, saw him bring one in.
Look at the line between his hands. He had a little bit of loop in the line.
Yep.
He's well coached.
Just the end of it.
Let me tell you, he's well coached. The guys on Team USA that have been to the world competition will fish this way.
Yeah. You've got to get back and do some administrative things.
Yeah, I gotta supervise the scoring.
We got about a half an hour left of the competition today in this session. And I'll tell you what, this stretch of river has been tough.
It has. You know, one stretch we saw 5-6 fish caught. We come up more up where the water's shallower. I don't know. They all look good. You know, it's what world fishing competition or competitive competition fishing is about.
Well, you know, this hole...
You're fishing behind somebody.
I'll tell you, we got about a half an hour left. Jack's going to take off. I'm going to stay here and stay with at least a couple of the competitors.
You never know what can happen.
Yeah, all of a sudden they get on fire. But one thing I think this brings home a great point. We had a guy come out here and take 19 fish in this spot, another competitor follow and have a real tough time. How many people stop at a spot 2 hours after work one day? They say, oh, I didn't catch any fish. I'm not going back to that spot.
Yeah.
Here's some of the best fishermen in the world, some catching fish, some not. So remember, when you fish these waters by your house, don't give up on them. Give up, try different times, try different flies, keep coming back, because it'll click for you too.
Oh, in the morning, it was different water conditions. Cooler, different insect hatches. All of a sudden, we're getting a thunder shower. Very, very hot today. I have a feeling that before this thunder shower develops, it's going to turn on. When these guys start walking off this river, there's insects going to be coming off, and that's just fishing. You're right. Come back at different times before you get. Never judge a stream by the first time you go fishing.
I'll tell you what, Jack's got to get back, do some stuff. We're going to stay here, but there's still 2 more days of competition and a banquet coming up.